All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and put the Zoom link right now in the chat. I just went ahead and pinned that. Then now I'll go ahead and send out these mass emails real quick. Got day 22. Today's gonna be a good one, guys. Ismael, what's up, man? How's it going? I just put the
Hey Eric, how you doing?
pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, doing good, man. Doing good. Just been working hard on this tax surplus stuff and just going through the motions here.
Okay, nice. Did you make some calls today?
Yeah, I made a lot of calls last few days. I have a day job, so I've been had a couple days off, so I've been making calls,
Mhm.
going through the lists. Some of the things that I've found, one thing I'm just kind of curious on. Um, I've been able to do the research to find out if a claim is still available or a surplus is still available. And sometimes there is a lien from code enforcement on the property.
Mhm.
And the amount exceeds the surplus amount.
Yeah, so that one is unfortunately that one's a wash.
Are those pretty much just dead? You can't do anything with them?
Yeah, with because the code enforcements, that's from the city, and they're definitely going to file that claim. Now, if it's something that has been, maybe a year old, I would look into as why they haven't released those funds yet. If there was a code enforcement that was entitled, then you might have a case, but I'm pretty sure you're probably dealing with, fairly newer deals, right?
The newer deals, yeah. And I've noticed that the county, well, at least this particular county, they they make those uh, those claims. It's not even a claim. It's a request for payment the day after the auction. So it's they put that in right away, and then they put their whatever legal mumbo jumbo in there.
Mm-hmm.
They say that it's pretty much it's
How often are you seeing this? It should be, I mean, usually with code enforcements, that you can see that frequently, but not something large enough to wipe out the entire surplus. Was that a smaller surplus? Was it under 10,000?
no, these are larger surplus. One, for example, was well, actually, the person was deceased. I was able to get a hold of the son. The son kind of chewed my ear off. He said, "Oh yeah, I already spoke with the county, and they said that there's too much. It wouldn't even be worth filing because of the amount of fines that were on the property, and they actually tore down the building. So it was a
Yeah.
also,
Well, I would, do as much research on that as possible, see if there potentially could be something valid. Because if you do find something, you can explain that to them and say, look, they probably said that, this wouldn't be worth your time, but it actually is worth our time. We'd love to help you out. We looked into this and saw that you're actually entitled to, whatever amount of money. If there is something to go after, if not, then, oh well, on to the next one. But even if it's something small, I would definitely recommend doing it because the whole thing about this business is we're helping others. And when you help others, you're going to get that back 10 times. So, although you might do a small deal and maybe make nothing, you're helping them out. You're going to receive much more than that just for helping somebody.
okay, so would you say that it might be okay just to even just to try to send a claim, even though um, uh, the fines are from the county. Code enforcement, they're still there. Would it be okay just to even try, just put in a claim, or just basically just wash? No go.
Yeah, I mean, you can, it doesn't hurt to try. I mean, you look at it, what is that gonna cost you? It's not gonna cost you much just to attempt it. You can, attempt a claim, and sometimes it doesn't work out. I actually got something right here. This is from a claim we did. Somebody needs to mute their phone. Okay. Yeah, this was, let me find this letter. We just got this letter yesterday. This is our packet. It was a letter from the county. It was one that, we just gave it a shot. They just said, unfortunately, there are no longer any surplus funds remaining. They paid it out all to code enforcement and to lien holders. So that one didn't work out, but you look at the time spent on it, spent a couple of hours doing research, spoke to him on the phone, sent an email, it wasn't nothing that killed me just because we didn't get paid out on it, or it wasn't a viable deal. So, I always say it's worth a shot. You never know.
So the county would they'll at least get back with you and say, hey, there's nothing
Yeah,
left.
yeah, they'll definitely do that. I don't know where that is. Yeah, they'll definitely do that. Hey, Will, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. All right, we got Logan. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get things started. Guys, this is day 22 of the 30-day Surplus Funds Challenge. We're getting to an end of this. We're also getting an end to this past year. We're heading into the new year. Hopefully this challenge has, helped people gain motivation, gain some knowledge, get some insight on this business, and get ready to attack it going into the new year. We've had individuals get in contact, potential deals. Huge shout out to Stanley. He had a potential claim. We spoke to them. Now we're trying to do some further research, but that's a pretty large deal. James has been outstanding, has 2 potential large deals as well that we're working on. Working on some things with what's his name? Curtis. Curtis is doing huge. Again, got some more deals. So, the students that are working, they're out there, they're getting, deals. And if you haven't gotten anything yet, just keep staying at it and understand that this business does work. And it's all a part of the game. It's a numbers game. Keep doing your research, keep making the calls. You're going to get some deals. And then once you start getting deals, you're going to look at ways to make your business more efficient. So today, we're going to discuss doing further research when it comes to your claims. But before we get into that, we'll go ahead and talk about my motivational nugget. And I mentioned this on my Instagram. I do Monday motivation. I was talking about 2 main issues that most people will say. I do help with business consultants. I help people who haven't started a business yet, and I help people who have existing businesses grow their business through marketing, different strategies. And a lot of people always say, I don't have enough money, or I don't have the time. And what I would say to that is, first of all, time is definitely something that you can have. No matter what you do, you can have the time, because you can always duplicate your 24 hours by hiring an assistant. This is why I keep, stressing, if you guys are looking to expand, you get some sort of assistance, whether that's virtual assistants that you can get for a low price overseas, or that's hiring somebody on, Fiverr or something like that for a few dollars per hour. You want to, expand the type of time and effort that you can do. And if it's just you doing everything on your own, you may not be able to actually attack it. So time shouldn't be an issue. Also, if you have time to, go on social media, scroll around on Instagram, Facebook, anything like that, then you have time to do the business. That's the choice. And then when it comes to money, I understand starting off, we all can be in a financially tough time. But if you have a vision, if you have a goal and you have a plan and you want to achieve something, you'll do whatever it is necessary to achieve that. So if you're lacking money to invest in yourself, invest in your business, you're going to have to do more. There's so many side hustles that you can pick up just to get those funds in order to do what you want. So at the beginning, you got to do what you have to do, and then you'll be able to do what you want to do. So my motivational tip is get the mindset that you can do anything you want to do. As long as you make a plan and take action, not having enough time and not having the funds is not a valid excuse. You guys can do anything. And with that motivational tip being said, we're going to go ahead and get into any questions before we discuss further research. So we had a great question. We had a great question at the beginning of the call talking about code enforcements. Does anybody else have any questions at all?
Yeah, Eric, I got a question.
Go ahead.
It's pertaining to the mortgage overages. When you're making a list to prospect, do you go after, is equity any issue with the list that you should have? Like, should you choose a list that has 20% equity and above, or does it matter that they're underwater?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
So in the sense of the mortgage overages, you might run into people at different levels of equity. Some people may be underwater. Some people may own a house free and clear. Well, I guess if it's free and clear, they wouldn't have a mortgage. So they may have they may have a 10% balance left for their mortgage to pay off. So they may have 90% equity in their house, but they still get foreclosed on.
Yeah, when I view mortgage foreclosures, I don't like equity. That's not pertaining to the surplus. That's not in my calculation. I'm looking at what was that final judgment amount? What was the opening starting bid? And what was the sold to third party bidder amount? What was the final sale? And if that difference results into a remaining profit, then that's the surplus. So that's the formula that I use to get the surplus, and somebody's equity doesn't really pertain to that surplus amount.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if they had a mortgage for $100,000 and the value of the house is they probably bought it for market value. So
having the value high is what will increase the price of the equity of the property at the foreclosure, at the auction. So that's their equity is going to be based on that.
Okay.
Yeah, Will, you had some good points. You wanted to chime in on this?
I think the equity question is an interesting question, but I think it effectively takes care of itself, because if the owner at the time of the foreclosure, which is when you start down the path towards the surplus, all of the person's equity is effectively extinguished. The bank has now taken possession of it. The way the equity comes in at the later time, if the house is sold, is that there's less that's remaining for the bank to lien against the property. So if the surplus is, 300,000 and the mortgage outstanding is 200,000, the surplus is going to be higher if they have more equity. But I think the two numbers that Eric mentioned are the numbers that you focus on. And then the question of equity is built into those numbers effectively. It's based on what the amount owed against the property is, and then effectively what the opening bid price is, and then what the ultimate sale price is. So the equity effectively is built in, and it's extinguished at the time of the foreclosure officially, and then it basically comes into play again when it's sold, and the amount that's left over as a surplus is kind of based on what their equity is.
Mm-hmm. Got you.
Does that make sense? Thank you very much.
No, it does. It does. Well, yeah, because when I was pulling lists, I was wondering if from a wholesaler mentality, you want to go after lists with high equity. If you were doing low equity, you probably would do something like a subject to. But I was wondering if there were like different strategies you would probably tackle if that was the case in surplus.
Well, what you can do is, if you want to kind of gauge on what the potential surplus can be, you would look at the auction calendar, or see, because not all states use an auction calendar, or see upcoming sales take the property and look at the assessed value. So the property appraiser's website could potentially have the appraised value, and the auction calendars will also list out the appraised value. And if that value is higher than what was owed, you can kind of gauge what the potential surplus will be, because majority of the times at those foreclosures, the property will either sell for about 70 to 80% of that assessed value, sometimes more. I've seen properties sell at an auction for higher than their appraised value, especially land lots.
Got you. All right, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Good question. Okay, so somebody in the YouTube chat said, smash the like and subscribe button. Yes, please, you guys, get the likes up. Somebody else asked, in your program, do you have the full step A to Z about surplus funds? Yes, surplus funds and tax overages, mortgage foreclosures. And if you want to learn about unclaimed state funds as well. Let's see, any questions on here? Does anybody have any questions before we get into it today?
Yeah, Eric, a good question for you.
Oh, hey, what's up, man? Yeah.
Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there. Quick question for you. I saw something online that one has to be licensed to do this. Is there such a license?
The license would probably be pertaining to unclaimed state funds. So sometimes you do have to become a private investigator, or you have to become a registered agent. But when it comes to special licenses or anything like that for, tax overages or mortgage foreclosures, that isn't required.
Okay, and then I would assume that's in any state, not just Florida, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. And you can be registered. I'm a registered finder in, many states. So you just figure out what their application process is. Sometimes you might need fingerprints, background check, things like that.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for answering that question, man.
That's a great question. Okay.
Yeah, I got a question.
Go ahead.
So when it comes to, I was looking at a couple of deals and I realized that there was some owners, but there were like two property owners. So it was like kind of 50-50. So at that point, when you're doing a deal, do you have to get both of their signatures to do the deal, or does one of them work?
Yes. Well, if you get one, you're going to get what that one person was entitled.
Oh, okay, I see. But if I could reach out to both of them, then I would get like the total. Would it be separate though,
yes,
or would it be the same?
Yes, it would be separate. You would get both of them under contract, two separate contracts. Okay. Whatever if they're both agree to 30%, then boom, you're good, 30-30.
Okay. All right.
Unless I believe, Will, correct me if I'm wrong, if they're married, you can do a family agreement form, Mr. and Miss, whatever their last name is, get them under contract and you're fine.
Okay. I think it's going to vary by county and by place, and even maybe by person who's handling it on that end. But I would say there might be situations where the county would not distribute the surplus fund to one unless both were asking for it. And maybe you've got experience otherwise, Eric, but I would expect that someone in that county position might be looking at it and say, I need all owners to be on board here. Yeah. And we can't disperse the funds until we have the entire claim extinguished. But that is an interesting question, especially, it could be different for joint property owners like a husband and wife, married couple, or a real estate partnership where there are two individuals or two individual entities. So a lot of different situations there. Best case scenario, you get in touch with one of the people and they know how to find the other person and they've got a shared interest.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Okay, good. All right. Somebody on YouTube asked the question, can you run an overage business without officially getting an EIN? Technically you could. What you would have to do is invoice the client, and then they would pay you on PayPal or send a direct check in your personal name. The EIN is specifically, so you can open up that bank account, but then also, establish your LLC. That's like your social for that. You can build business credit with that. You're going to want to get an EIN. You shouldn't want to get in this business if you're not trying to get an EIN, because first off, an EIN is free. So, like I said, technically you can, but I don't see why you would want to do that. All right. Stanley said, everyone needs to open a FedEx account. It saves you a lot of money and a tax write-off. Yes, that is true. I do have a FedEx account. You guys should get that for sure. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and talk about today's topic, which is doing further research. And before we get into that, I want to share a story. I was talking to my attorney in Florida, and we were dealing with a probate situation, and he said that he was going to do some skip tracing on the other family members to see if we can, send out the agreement form, get them on board, because we have to get, all the members that are equally entitled with their funds under contract. And he wanted to send them a letter just to inform them that we're opening the probate, just that legal formality of that form. And I asked him, I said, so what skip tracing platform do you use? I'm thinking maybe he might have some insight on a skip tracing site that attorneys use that's crazy. And he said he uses Been Verified. And I was like, yep, there it is, validation. Just like I say, Been Verified is going to be your best bet. So then he presumed to say there was LexisNexis. He was using LexisNexis, and that was like, I think like $300 or $400 a month. And he said the numbers that he was getting on Been Verified were the exact same as LexisNexis. And I'm like, exactly, that's what I went through as well. And it just came to the realization that no matter how much skip tracing you do, it's going to be difficult to get the 100% accurate phone number. So you have to do further research. So a great example of further research is what James was talking about when he's looking up family members on social media. So when you look up an individual, you should be looking up friends, families, on social media, checking out where do they work at, any type of research that you can to get in contact with individuals, because they may give you the correct phone number. You might be able to reach out to a friend or a family member, it might be a cousin, you present to them what you're trying to do, and they might lead you in the correct direction. And what you can also do is, this is a referral. They're giving you the information, a potential client. They can be compensated for assisting you on filing this claim. They're giving you a good lead. They're giving you the correct phone number, and that's valuable. That's really valuable. So, you can gauge it on whatever the surplus is, but I like to take care of people. When they give me that information and we close the deal, I like to take care of them for sure. So, don't feel bad about, sending them $300-$400 for putting you in the right direction. Claudia said LinkedIn is a gold mine. Perfect. Yeah. So things like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, literally anything. Will said Google, Yahoo, search engines. Yeah, do as much research as possible to, try to locate these people. At the end of the day, we're kind of private investigators. We're trying to find these people because the county does not do this. The county does not take a deep dive and try to locate these people to get this money off their books. So that's what we're here for. That's part of our job. Does anybody have any questions with further research?
Not a question, but a comment about research. One thought is where people are in the situation where they're either delinquent on their taxes or foreclosed on their mortgage, there might be other creditors who are going after them. So sometimes searching the court dockets, which are usually public records, for other lawsuits that might be collection lawsuits, is worth it to try to locate them. You can't always find them, and they don't always have a valid address, but it's another place to look.
Okay, and on that, in that docket, is it going to have maybe a more accurate phone number?
It's more likely to have an accurate address.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
But in some of these Been Verified, having a more accurate address can lead to a more accurate phone number.
Exactly. Oh, and by the way, Will, when you do skip tracing, what website do you use?
So I've used individuals who are kind of people who do the skip tracing for me. I've used LexisNexis. I don't have a subscription right now. It's been accurate, but I think there's also some big gaps in their library. The one that I've also used in the past is Dun & Bradstreet.
Yeah.
Which is another service that's kind of a higher price, like Lexis.
I know
Nexis.
Dun & Bradstreet is usually for businesses. Do they handle individuals as well?
Well, you can find individuals through their businesses that way, but it is more business corporation focused. And I think it's along the same lines as Been Verified. I've used Been Verified to some degree, and Spokio, I think
I've heard about that. I haven't used that one.
Is another one.
Okay.
So those are, there was another one that's REI, maybe REI Skip, but there's, Been Verified has been proven to be pretty good and pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Claudia said batch skip, Stanley said, REI Skip. That's the thing with skip tracing. You're not going to get 100% accurate phone number. It's going to take some calls, but that's why when you guys do get individuals on the phone, it's game time. You don't have to worry about closing them on that first call too. I don't want you guys to think that, the pressure is completely on you to close the deal, but you want to at least get an email or a mailing address to send them over further information. When you first get in contact with an individual, it might be hard to just get them to 100% agree and be ready to sign the paperwork that day. It might take 2 to 3 calls, give them time to digest the information. Sometimes you might send somebody everything, proof, highlighted, plain as day, this is 100% real, and they still just need a few days to take it in. You never know who's in their ear. You never know. They might see the information and believe it's true, but they might have a family member saying, oh no, those people are going to scam you. Don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Like, don't believe them. And then they just completely, mark you off. So, just try to get the email, try to get a mailing address, and then, go from there. But don't put the pressure on yourself to try to close somebody on that first call, especially when you're doing all these calls. You want to be comfortable when you finally get somebody. You don't want to have that pressure. Let's see. Christian says sending email is clutch. Yep. Everything works. You got to put in the work. PropStream is really good. Stanley, what do you use PropStream for in this business?
What I do for PropStream is on PropStream, when you put the address in there, it brings up everything like the title deed and all the information about the title and the history of the property. You can even order certain documents you needed on there. And then what I do with that is I sometimes use a skip trace, sometimes I don't. But it's really just got good data on there for like the information for the property. So that's why I use it for. Try to get more in depth with the property of the house and the owner, so I can know exactly who I'm dealing with.
Okay, and they have the deed documents there.
Yeah, sometimes they do. Like certain counties is different. Like you can pay for it. Like they have like a little tab. Once you do further research with the taxes and everything, you can actually buy it. It costs like someone be like 7, 10, or 20. It just depends on what they have there. Because they have everything there. You just got to pay for that separate.
Exactly. Yeah. Deborah said, how much is PropStream? I believe PropStream is like $100 a month, but they have people who have like promo codes, things like that. Will said there's no 100% solution. It takes elbow grease. Exactly. There's nothing in this business that's, just going to be the secret, the secret sauce to close deals left and right. This is a business that, just takes further research, investigating. It's something that a lot of people don't know about. So, you're going to just have to stick to the process and, numbers game, continue to contact people, continue to do research and just believe in it and just remind yourself why you're doing it. If you don't have that why, then you probably won't do it. You probably won't be motivated, but I'm pretty sure once you close the deal and get a check and then help with somebody and see how that feels, that'll definitely be your why. That's what motivates me. That's what keeps me going, is I know that it works. And, of course, when you get paid, that's a motivation too. But yeah. And then when you think about the issues we have in this business, it's just research and convincing people. So if you don't have the capabilities to do research or try to convince somebody, then maybe this business isn't for you. But for those who it is for, we're going to stay at it. There's more than enough claims for everybody to go after. Okay, somebody said, I used been verified to skip trace and found my older brother in New York. It's pretty darn powerful. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna say that they're 5 out of 5 stars because at the end of the day, sometimes you do not get information, but they're pretty much the best for the price. Been verified. It's like $20 a month. Pontiff said the deed is free on most counties. Yeah. So now we talked about further research when it comes to skip tracing. We can also talk about further research on these county websites. So when you go on these websites, usually they'll have either like a docket or maybe they'll have a database that will keep deed documents, property information reports, notice of surplus funds. That type of information is pretty universal in all Florida counties. They're going to have that information on the county's website for free. So you guys should definitely be doing further research. And if you are struggling with that, make sure you watch the video that I dropped a few days ago in the course. It's called Doing Further Research. So definitely check that out and it'll be able to help you. And it doesn't just show Florida, it shows other states as well. Stanley said it takes a lot of research and you got to be the FBI. Yeah. All right. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, quick question for you again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Stanley.
Yeah, my wife asked me to ask you, once the auction is done, the property sold and all that, how long would it take for the county to send notice of surplus to the previous owner? Would you have an idea?
So they don't have a specific like date on the county's website that says, okay, after the auction, we're going to send the notice within 5 business days. I haven't found that anywhere, but typically it gets sent in like 1 to 2 weeks. And then that 120 days starts from there. But that letter, you can still potentially close somebody without that letter. But once you get that letter, that's great.
That's validation right there. Yeah. So I've noticed that online that you see the return mail, but sometimes this was the one with the trailer that we spoke about. There's a return receipt mail, but it doesn't show the surplus notice whatsoever. So I just don't.
So maybe potentially they sent them the letter regarding the property being foreclosed because they do send a letter out for that as well.
Okay.
So if you see the return mail and it doesn't show the notice of surplus funds letter just yet, that's probably the mail that they sent out, was just saying, hey, your property is about to be foreclosed if you don't pay your taxes or mortgage.
Okay, because that auction was done on the 14th of December. So
okay. Yeah, so that was a few days ago. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to get a heads up, buddy. Thank you once again.
All right. Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Eric, I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned the package that you would send the client for further research. You mind breaking down what you send in that package?
Yeah.
As far as like.
Yeah. So what I send is the introductory email that's in the course. Is just saying, hey, thank you for choosing whatever your company is. It's a pleasure to assist you on filing the surplus funds claim in whatever county. Below is the information regarding the property. Then I'm going to have the property address. I'm going to have the opening bid, which were taxes that were owed, the final sell amount, the surplus amount. And then I'm going to say, a little spiel on what we do. We work on contingency. We don't charge any upfront fees. And I'm going to say attached are the following forms. And I would send them, the agreement form, of course, but then proof regarding, their surplus funds. So I might take what I call the professional screenshots of either a tax deed or the auction calendar showing that the property was foreclosed for a higher amount. Sometimes I'll print off the excess funds list and highlight the, the section regarding their claim. And then I'll send that over to them. And then I'll just say, give me a call back when you have a chance so that we can discuss this, contact them, keep calling, and then close it from there. But at that point, now that you sent them all the proof, you've laid out the information regarding the property, and now it just comes down to convincing them.
Got you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
I've got a quick question for you. When it comes to choosing the route, as you said in your program, you said the most popular common way to basically get the check sent out and dispersed was going through an attorney. But if we're choosing to use that route to where the attorney splits the check between, our 30% and then the claimant's 70%, do we include the attorney's name or the law firm's name in the paperwork instead of our company's name for that? Since the check, I'd imagine has to be made out to the law firm, correct?
Yeah, so if you're using an attorney and you want to have the funds go to that attorney's fund, their firm, they'll have their own paperwork, and if you want to help them out with that. I don't know if Will is still on. Okay, he must be muted. So when you use an attorney, that form that I have in the course, the response funds payable, that is if you're not using an attorney. That's going to direct the county to either make the check fully payable in your company's name or the claimant's name in care of your company. So if you have a bank and you want to speak to your bank, also you want to see if they're going to give you any issues with the care of. Not all banks allow it, so you definitely want to look into that. And what can help you is just getting assignment of interest. If you get the assignment of interest, the full check will be made payable out to your company. So that would be the best option. If you don't have an attorney, get the assignment of interest. Of course, you can still close deals with the care of. You just got to contact your bank and make sure that it's fully okay with them.
Okay, so would on behalf of work just the same as care of? Or does it have to be
Good
care
question.
of?
I'm not sure. I've never seen, that's kind of long putting on behalf of. So I'm not sure. I've never seen a check that said that.
Okay, because I think I've seen somewhere where I've seen O/B/O on there,
Okay.
kind of like when you said
On behalf of.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It all comes down to communicating with your bank tellers. You want to ask them beforehand, because once you do receive it, the worst thing that would happen is you would need the client to sign off on the back or send them the check and then have to invoice them. But, that's why you build a good relation with your clients, and they'll pay you back. They'll pay you back. If they don't, you do have the agreement form that says that you can take them to court. So.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Great question though. Okay. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. How are you guys? Well, thank you so much